Hello and welcome to another DBD stream. The haunted event has ended. As you can see, it's no longer bright orange and in your face. We're just back to a nice cool night under the full moon. And the haunted event's ended. The night hasn't come out yet. That's the Forged in Fog is coming out later this month. So we're just, in some downtime. And I thought I'll give my thoughts on the current iterations of what will be happening in Forged in Fog. And you're like, oh boy, I'm gonna watch the night gameplay? No, I'm not in the PTB. I was actually thinking about doing it after Wesker, but then real life came up. Wife and I are buying a new house. We have to plan moving. I got sick. It's too much stuff came up, and I forgot to sign up to get in the public test. Was it public test build? Public test beta? I think it's build. Either way, the PTB. So I'm not in it, but I've seen other people do it. You can watch other people. There's lots of streamers and YouTubers and the like who have recordings if you want to see it. But I thought, all those people you're watching, they usually have one thing in common, which is they've played this game for years. They have thousands and thousands of hours. And yes, listening to the top tier players, here's what I think is all well and good. But for the rest of us who aren't in the top tier level of gameplay and, play with us plebeian people, maybe you want to know what we think about it. So if that's what you're here for, you're in the right place. Or if you just, I've seen so much night stuff. I just want to see some good old-fashioned surviving and killing and all that. I don't want to see new things. Then hey, just mute me while I talk about it and just watch. You're also in the right place. Everyone's in the right place, except I guess the survivors who are trapped in this never-ending hell. But who asked them? Bill is here in Mother's Dwelling in the Red Forest to talk about Vittorio Toscano, the new survivor coming out in Forged in Fog, coming out later this month. Specifically to talk about his perks, because, he kind of looks like Vittorio. Sort of. If you squint really hard and you have cataracts and, the lights are low. Oh, and he's, trying to get a new item and escape and cleanse, 7 more totems, so sure, that's great too. Anyways, the new perks that Vittorio has, let's talk about them in no particular order, or rather in the order of easiest to talk about to most complicated to talk about. His Vittorio's first perk, Quick Gambit. When you're being chased, if you are within 24 meters of a gen, other people working on that gen get a boost to progress. Now that's okay. It's not. I mean, I guess if you're with a full group of survive with friends, and you can be oh yeah, we're gonna work here, come loop around this area. But I don't think I'll be using it except when I'm trying to get the adept achievement. It's not my favorite perk. I mean, it's not bad, but it's sure, working on gens is good. But, whatever. It's made up for, though, by his second perk, Fogwise. Fogwise is amazing. It's his best perk, I think. And, I'll talk about it. There's another one, if it gets a little fix to it, or changes to it, maybe it would be better. But, yeah, I don't know. Fogwise is just very good. And the bonus is, it's very... Bill, trying to talk here. Simple. What Fogwise does is when you get a great skill check, at least repairing gens, I don't know if it counts for healing or not, but at least a great skill check when on a gen, you see the killer's aura, and it increases how long you see it based on the tier. Oh, and I guess, yeah, the Quick Gambit, increasing the tier just increases how fast they get it. They get a 6 or 7 or 8% progress bonus based on what tier level it is. And so yes, Fogwise, you see the killer for longer based on the tier level. Seeing the aura, you're okay, that's kind of basic. I guess it's fine, but well, here's the thing. It might be basic and simple and easy, but it's really strong. Think, say you're at the start of the match. Let's say we just started this match, and here we are working on this gen. We don't know who the killer is yet because she hasn't barfed on anyone. We're just like, okay, who is it? Well, that was a good skill check. Let's pretend it was great. We'd be like, okay, she's over there. And you could like say, okay, which way is she going? This way, like how much time do I have to stay on this gen? Versus like, do I need to get around this tree and hide? You get to see who the killer is. If it's like Trapper or Hag, you get to see them setting up, which is crazy. Like, it was already hard enough playing Trapper and Hag, and now you can watch them set up at the beginning if you get great skill checks. You know, it lasts throughout the match, so anytime you're getting greats, you can see it. And like, yeah, okay, if you're with like a 4-person survive with friends, sure, this isn't going to be the strongest perk because you're going to basically know where the killer is and what they're doing all the time. But if you're solo, or even just like with like one other person, like being able to be like, okay, well, like I see him at Shack, they're heading counterclockwise, so like your person that you know is somewhere over that direction, they know to hide. And so you're like, okay, well, sure, but not all killers have their aura revealed. Like, what if it's a stealth killer? Well, not getting information is also information, right? Like, if you're at the beginning and you're like, okay, who's the killer? What, you know, who am I facing? And you're like, oh, like, I mean, how many times have you seen me looking around? You know, on healing? Okay. Like, looking around here being like, oh, is it a ghost face? Is it, you know, is it a pig? What, you know, who is it? Is it someone just on the other side of the map? Is it someone sneaking up on me? And, you know, if you get a great skill check and be like, okay, where's their aura? They don't have an aura. Well, now you know. Like, yeah, you won't know exactly who it is, but you'll know that you have a stealth killer. And you're like, okay, so great, you get stuff at the beginning. Is it useful for the rest of it? Sure. Think about, let's say you're at 1 gen left. You got 2 on this side, 1 way over, like on that yellow one. If you're working on that yellow one, you know, not having this perk, if you don't know where the killer is, what, are they chasing, you know, someone who's not the obsession? Because, like, yeah, if they're chasing the obsession, you know they're busy because you see the little clicky around their portrait. But if they're, you know, not, are they coming up to you? Are they, you know, are they busy on the other side of the map? You'll know if you have time to finish it before the last, or, you know, to get the last thing out. It also, like, I guess you could pair it, like, I mean, you know, do the hyper focus build if you're getting a bunch of greats anyways. I don't know if you'd want to do that, but, you know, it works well with that. So yeah, it's just a great overall information perk, especially for solo or 1 or 2 people survivor groups. Okay, so what's his third perk? His third perk, whoop, we don't want to go that way. Potential energy. That's fine. I like your outfit. Which outfit is that? I don't recognize it. Anyway, potential energy is very complicated, and right now, I don't know, a lot of people foresee it and like, wow, this is going to be really strong, and then a lot more people look at it and say, wow, this is completely useless. And with a few tweaks, it could be very good in niche situations. Yes, this perk was forged by the Niche Lich. But what you do is, when you're working on a gen, you can activate it. And then, from then on, every 1.5% of gen work that you put into a gen, you get 1% back as a token. Oh, wait, I have Deliverance. What am I doing? We got to split. I'm not healing you, you know, you're injured. Or, you know, you're sick. You're gonna lose your health anyway. You wanna fix that? Drink a fountain. Get the fountain. Drink the fountain. Bye. Alright, well, that went south when they decided to be sluggy, but I'll just talk about the last perk, then not in match, and Bill can just stare at you and judge. So potential energy, I kept trying to talk about, kept getting interrupted. You put in 1.5% work to get 1% back as a token. You can store up to 20 tokens. you can then put those tokens in another gen to like transfer that 1% or however many tokens, you know, up to 20% in as progress into that gen. Now it seems kind of cool, but it has some downsides, some pretty big downsides. Like right now, I don't think it's worth using except for like getting your adept achievement. If they change it, maybe. So A, you don't get tokens right away. That's what the tier is, like the higher tier, the faster you can start getting your tokens for them. Whatever, that's fine. You also lose all of your tokens if you change health states. Maybe it says lose health state, but I think it might be changed. Like being healed might do it, but even if not, being injured loses all of it. Now, if it's put into the dying state, maybe, but just being hit, you can lose all of the work you've done and lose all of your tokens. That is too much. And like, I don't understand it because like, they're thinking like, oh, well, these people are working and you can't like stop them if you don't like lose stuff when you get hit. But you're already losing as the survivor. Like you are putting in what, like 1.5% to get 20 tokens would be what, 30%? Yeah, 1.5 times 2 because it's, yeah, I think that's right. Whatever. I don't know. I can't math right now. I'm still upset about Sluggy Plague. But you put in more time than you're getting back. Like that's the downside, and there's no way around it, whether you're hit or not. They don't need to have this like, if you get injured, you lose your tokens business, because you're already hurting yourself by doing this. So it's not worth using right now unless they take that out, in my opinion. And like, if they change it to, if you enter the dying state, you lose it, maybe. Like if you're really good at looping, sure, then it's fine. But like, I don't think I would use it for that. And so you're thinking, okay, well, that sounds like interesting, but utter crap. Why would you use this? Well, it's very good in some niche scenarios. Well, okay, there's like 3 reasons. One, the one that's like not really as important. You can skip stuff like Merciless Storm. You get like 20 tokens, then stop banking, just work normally. You get up to like 80% on a gen, and then you just put them all in at once. You finish the gen, you just skip Merciless Storm. Okay, but that's not really worth a perk slot, in my opinion. Like, having Prove Thyself is going to be more useful than that. Having Adrenaline is going to be more useful than that. Like, skipping Merciless Storm is not great. Like, sure, it's kind of fun. Like, I did this. I'm not, I'm not under your merciless spell now, killer. But, it's not really worth writing home about. And people are online like, well, you could skip Tinkerer, but like, isn't like level 1 Tinkerer like 70% or something? I don't know. Like, I guess if you have multiple people working on a gen, you get to like 70, you put in 20. I mean, yes, if you have 2 people both doing it, you all put it in, you finish it, you skip Tinkerer. And like, yes, if they're on the other side of a map, you put in like 20 when they're at 70 or at 90, you can probably finish it before the killer gets back. But like, what if you're like Gideon, or what if you're like in the middle of the map working? Then it's not gonna buy you much. Like, those are, kind of fun, quirky stuff, but not the point of why I would use this. Because I think I would use it for fun if they got rid of the injured and business. When would you use it? Well, one is to break a 3-gen before it happens. I can get that mouse out of the way, or I can pick his nose. Woo! I'm so mature. To stop a 3-gen before it happens. So like, say, stupid mouse, you get 3-gen, that that there's a 3-gen in the works. Like, oh, there's a gen here, here, and here, and then you have one way on the other side of the map. Okay, like, now, what are you gonna do? Like, you work on the far gen, finish it, now you're stuck with a 3-gen. Try to work on the 3-gen, the killer keeps interrupting it. Because they know, like, okay, I'll just let that other gen go, and then they have a 3-gen situation. Well, with this, you work on the far gen, banking stuff in, go to, like, the safest of the 3-gens, put all that stuff in it. Now, like, yeah, they could start kicking it, like, yeah, if they have Call of Brine and whatever, but, like, if you're all focusing on 1-gen, yeah, because, this works better with, like, as a solo player, it's okay. With a Survive with Friends, you could do some crazy stuff. Like, you all work on this far gen intermittently so that the killer is not, bugging you. So everyone gets 20 tokens. You all go over, dump them into one of the 3-gen situation gens, finish that gen up, and then you have now 2 gens close to each other, one far away. You don't have a 3-gen. I think that's very interesting because it's like, here's this like meta thing in the game of like, well, you know, the killer wants to try and get a 3-gen so they can guard it. And like, it's a thing you can do now. Like, you can choose to prolong the game to make the end part easier, which is very interesting. Again, if they got rid of the whole injure takes away your stuff, because that is like double punishment. All right, so that's one reason. The other reason is getting rid of a central gen that will make life much harder for the killer. I think the best example of this is Ormond. A big square map, gens all around the outside, one in the dead center. Work on outside gen, you know, other people doing the same thing. You all swarm in, dump all your tokens in the center, power through it, you know, brave boy if the killer's coming. You get the center gen done, and now the killer is going to have a much harder time because they have to patrol all along the outside as opposed to being able to like go and check the inside gen from any point on the map. So that's his third perk. And so yeah, potential energy could be a very, like, you're not going to use it a lot. It's not going to help more than like sprint burst or adrenaline or prove thyself or, you know, stuff like, you know, boon circle of healing. Yet no, it's not going to be like that good. But if it was better, it would be a very nice niche perk, the same way like reassurance is. Yeah, you're not using reassurance every time you play a match, but the fact that you have it for the times you need it, that you can be like, oh, they're kind of campy, slap on reassurance, we can go work on stuff, you know, other people have time to heal up, come get things. Like, it's good when it's needed. It's a thing you're not going to need all the time, but when it's needed, it'll help. And that's what potential energy has the potential to do, if they get rid of the downside. Because again, if, you know, I'm sure Behavior is listening to all their Fog Whisperer program people, but if anyone from Behavior sees this, it already has a downside. You're putting in more time than you're getting back. That is the downside. You spend, I don't remember, it's not 1 second per percent, right? Or is it? I don't know. But you're putting in 30% work for 20% gain. That's why it's bad to use already. You don't need to make people lose tokens when they're hurt. And like, even like, you don't need to have people lose tokens when they're dying. And so doing it when they're just injured, that's just like a slap. Like, that's pouring salt on the wound at that point. It's just, as is, unless it gets changed, it's not worth using. So that's my take on the 3 new perks. Quick Gambit, fine, whatever. Potential Energy could be great, right now sucks. Fog-wise is amazing. There you go. The Nemesis is here in Mount Ormond Resort, and he is here to talk to you about The Knight, who's coming out the next DLC, the Fog Whisperers, coming out later this month. And, you know, why are we doing him? Because we can summon as him. We have summoned zombies before the Knight ever had summoned companions. Now, before I start talking about the Knight's perks, I want to say this killer already is making me kind of salty because, like, unless they improve the AI for his Nemi zombies, it's like a slap in the face to Nemesis. Oh, good. Yeah, they brought double, like, faraway hooks and double flashlights, and so they're gonna go for that sort of thing. But he doesn't know about my Lightborn yet. Anyway. So, like, we now know that they're perfectly capable of making decent AI. Good spin. But of course, unless they make an update so that, like, Nemi zombies aren't getting stuck on trees and rocks anymore, it's like, well, you know, it's like, come on, you should update this, man. Except of course, like, they haven't, like, they made stuff harder for Trapper and, like, with Fogwise, and he's like the face of the game. All right. I suppose we have a basement here. I have that as a quest. Nah, we don't. Oh well. Oh, my zombie's down someone. Nice. So yeah, I'm a little salty that they're like, hey, look at this great AI companion business, and then, you know, like, unless they fix Nemesis zombies, because, like, yeah, it'd be great if Nemesis had, you know, more than just the 2 zombies, but we know they can't do that for processing reasons. But come on, you can at least let them not get stuck on rocks and stuff now. We know you can do it. Let's talk about the Knight's perks. Perk number 1, nowhere to hide. Oh, and just like the Survivor, this is just in order of, like, easiest to most complicated to talk about. Not necessarily to use or whatever, but okay, fine. If you want me to camp her, that's cool. Crazy. Okay. Like, you haven't used reassurance on her. I'm not sure what your plan is here. Gotcha. Gotcha. You've got nowhere to hide, Dwight. Why, speaking of which, that's the first of the Knight's perks I'm talking about. So, nowhere to hide, pretty strong perk. When you damage a gen, you reveal everyone within 24 meters. Very strong. Especially if you're high mobility, you know, like Nurse Blight, something. Or, you know, have insta-down stuff. Yeah, there's just a good overall perk. So, cool. Damage gen, see everyone around you within 24 meters. Neat. Who are you looking at? Anyway, so that perk, it's basic, it's strong. Not as strong as, you know, fog-wise, being able to see the killer, but, you know, it's just a strong basic or a reading perk. Cool. Scratchies. Scratchies. Wherefore doth thou scratchies? The next perk, Hubris. Where you going, buddy? All right, now that I don't have people like swarming around me like flies, Hubris. When you are stunned for 20 seconds, you, the person who stunned you becomes exposed. Then, there's a 20-second cooldown, so you can always have it going, but you can only have it going at like 1 person at a time. Oh, over there, okay. It's okay, but from what I've seen, it's not particularly great. In that, like, I don't know, the matches I've watched where people had, it's like by the time they caught back up, Hubris was over anyway. So yeah, it's fine, but I don't know, like, and like there's a lot of people online who are like, oh yeah, use like Enduring and Spirit Fury and then that'll get, like, yeah, but you're gonna waste 3 perks to occasionally get 1 down. Like, that doesn't seem like a great deal. I mean, like, okay, if you're gonna play killer against me, go for it. Absolutely use Enduring and, and Spirit Fury and Hubris just so that every 3 pallets you can get 1 down. Because that's a waste of 3 perks. And like, if sure, Gideon Meat Plant, you have like a lot of pallets, but like Ormond, how many downs do you think you're gonna get using that? Like, yeah, there's some pallets, but A, you have to get the down with it. B, you have to assume that people aren't pre-dropping, because as soon as they know that you're doing this, they just pre-drop. They won't hit you with it. Then, you know, what are you gonna do? Send out your power, or, you know, go around or something, but like, you can't expect people to fall for it very often, and you have to set it up, and you're using 3 perk slots to do so. It's just not good. Oh, that's a cute jacket. So, like, Hubris is not great. I don't think. I mean, it's not bad, but... And so sort of like, okay, but and the killers that like can use it the most, that can like recover the fastest from being stunned and catch up, are the ones that don't need it anyways. Like, all right, I'm going to put Hubris on Nurse. Yeah, but Nurse doesn't need it. Whereas if you're like, I'm going to put Hubris on Trapper to get some insta-downs. Unless you catch someone in a trap, all right, they pallet stun you, and then they're going off over that away. So, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's all that great. Finally, Hex Face the Darkness. It's very complicated. It's kind of interesting. It kind of depends how it works to see whether it's good or not. But, let me read this from my thing. When you injure a survivor, it will light a dull totem. Other survivors besides the injured one, when they are outside of your terror radius, they will intermittently scream. Also, I think they can see the cursed survivor, the non-screaming one. When the survivor that you hit is either healed or downed, the totem unlights, and Face the Darkness ends until the next time. And then if you cleanse the totem, it's gone forever. Now, there's a few things I don't know about this. Oh yeah, just like the survivor thing, all the matches today are just going so sweaty that you get caught up in them. People trying very hard to win and bringing like super great add-ons and the like. Well, you can look at Nemi right here too. He says rawr. First of all, does that... Okay, when it says it lights, it's like, okay, what totem do you cleanse? Is there any totem on the map when you're using it? Like, is it powers up, you know, totem number 1, and then it can light totems, dull totems 2, 3, and 4? Or is it there's no lit totem until you're hit, then it lights up while they're injured, and then it goes away, and so you have to cleanse it while they're injured? I think that's the way it works. There's no, like, base totem, no base hex, and it's only when it lights that you can deactivate it. But if there's a base hex, then you're using, what, 2 totem slots just for that? I mean, like, I guess if you're using... that's whatever. The other thing is, like, what is intermittently screaming? Depending on how often that is, that could be very strong or kind of useless. Because if it's, like, once every 30 seconds... you're gonna mess people up if you're using Thrill of the Hunt. Like, well, here's my Ruin, and here's Thrill of the Hunt. Have fun getting rid of that, because you're gonna keep going every time. Unless the injured person is doing it, but presumably you're chasing them? On the other hand, if it's like once every 5 minutes, that's not worth using at all, because like, okay, once every 5 minutes you learn where the survivor is. So, it's... Yeah, so the overall thing, like, Face the Darkness is kind of odd. It could be very good or very bad, depending on how intermittent is. Hubris doesn't seem great, because, okay, you stun someone, they're exposed, but that's not going to do too much for you, and, like, to make it stronger, you're using other perks, but that's taking away other perks. And, like, yeah, sure, using, like, Enduring and Spirit Fear, like, they're good for other reasons, like, you can just use it anyway, but you could be using Pain Resonance, you could be using Barbecue, you could be using Deadlock, like, yeah. And finally, Nowhere to Hide is very good. It's just, you see everyone around the gen you kicked, so if people are like, you can't find me, then you can find them. Plus, it makes Jeff's Distortion kind of cool, too. Like, if people want to hide near a gen, they're going to have to use Distortion, or you're going to see them, or, like, in lockers. And, like, anything to buff Jeff. Good call. Especially with now Distortion, like, gaining back when you're in the killer's terror radius. Like, so that's, like, a cool, like, they use Distortion, they're using the perks, you're gonna see the aura, gets rid of the tokens, but they're close to you, so they're you know, that's a cool interaction. But yeah, his perks are, the Knight's perks are, you know, they're fine. Nowhere to Hide's the best. You know, so that both of them, their aura readings are, for both of them, I think, are the best. You know, the Knight's power is more what he's about anyway. It's like learning to do that, and the crazy busted add-ons, and I'm not getting into all the, like, if you want to know why things are crazy, go watch Otsdarva's video on the 2 broken purple add-ons that hopefully will be fixed before it goes live, because it's ridiculous how strong they are right now. But yeah, that's all. Like, when the Knight comes out, I can talk about stuff. For now, that's just my thoughts on what the perks are going to be. I'd like to, you know, hear what your ideas on the perks are. Are you looking forward to it? I think Vittorio looks cool, so that's nice. Commune with Red. Yeah, we'll do both. I'm gonna get over here. And that about does it for this. I've been trying so long to record this. Like, I've been talking and talking, and I've had to do so many matches. The people are just so sweaty today. That's enough for now. Woo. He kind of looks like Vittorio. Sort of. If you squint really hard and you have cataracts and, you know, the lights are low.